Hi everyone, my name is Aja and I am officially 6 years locked. I started my locks on April 6th of 2019, so I just wanted to share a 6-year lock update, some lessons I've learned, and reflections on my journey. I want to start with some questions that I always get about my locks. I started them on April 6th of 2019 and I started them using the coil method. I naturally have very thick, kinky hair, so the coil method was definitely the best method for me to do. I started with 69 locks, but I combined two, so now I have technically 68. And there were a handful of reasons as to why I started my locks, but mainly because I was kind of going through a transformation spiritually that year, and I experienced a lot, and I wanted to almost make a commitment to myself by starting my locks. And even outside of that, I have a lot of family members and people that I knew that I drew inspiration from who had locks, so those were the two main reasons as to why I started my own. I want to get into my visual journey and of course share photos and videos of everything that I've experienced in the past 6 years. I did start in 2019 and my hair took about 2 months to lock up. Again, I have very kinky 4C hair, so it was quite easy for my hair to naturally lock up. In the first year of starting my locks, I experienced a lot of fluffiness and frizz, but I knew that was pretty natural when it comes to starting locks. I didn't experiment with too many hairstyles in the first year to year and a half of having my locks, simply because I knew that one, I wanted my hair to fully mature before I start putting tension on my hair. With that, I am very tender-headed, so I also knew that I personally probably wouldn't enjoy a lot of the styles that I was seeing either online or just with other people that I saw in person. When it comes to the products that I use in the first year to 2 years of having my locks, I've always used the same shampoo throughout my entire lock journey. With gels, I knew that it was going to be a bit of a trial and error. Because I have thicker locks, I personally need a thicker retwist gel. I started using this gel. I cannot remember the name, but I'm of course going to put it on the screen. I started using this gel because my mom, who has had locks now for a few decades, she always used it and always swore by it. She has a lot smaller locks than I do, so I found that I had to make sure that my hair and my retwist was fully dried so I can reap the benefits of having my retwist last for a week to 2 weeks. And as someone who has played sports her entire life and has just been really active, I found that that gel was great for the first week to 2 weeks, but I knew that, again, I needed something stronger for my locks. The second gel that I tried was the yellow Shine and Jam. That was definitely a lot stronger than the first gel that I used, and I honestly used that for the next 3.5 years into my lock journey. The gel that I currently use is the Bellanique braiding gel. This gel I now swear by as someone who has very thick locks. It works perfectly. It's fast drying and my retwists last a minimum of 2 weeks before I see any frizz or I might want to retouch. That's a quick insight on the products that I've used my entire lock journey, but I wanted to of course share what I have done to my locks, specifically bleaching and coloring my hair. After my locks fully matured, and I mean past the frizz, past the budding, and are fully matured, I started experimenting with bleaching and coloring my locks. This was around year 2.5. I first decided to get highlights. I went to a trusted family friend who was in the hair business, hair industry, and she knew the products to use on my hair. I definitely recommend, if you are considering bleaching or coloring your hair for the first time, go to a professional, just because they have a wealth of knowledge of the different type of products that works on different types of hair. And they can definitely guide you in the future if you plan on taking over that process and either bleaching or coloring your hair yourself. So I first decided to highlight my hair and I really loved it. After about 6 months. I don't think I went a full year with highlights, but I decided to fully bleach my hair. And again, I did also go to the same family friend who was in the industry to fully bleach my locks. This I loved. I absolutely loved having blonde locks. My hair was still very healthy, and again, that is due to going to a professional instead of trying to bleach my entire head myself. I absolutely loved having blonde locks. My hair stayed extremely healthy. I didn't experience any thinning or breakage due to the bleach. And I have always been someone who really loves to have fresh retwists, but also fresh re-dyes. So I was someone who would re-bleach my roots every other wash. At least once a month I was re-bleaching my roots, and this was something that I did myself. I felt that I also had a bit of knowledge on the products that I wanted to use, so I just completely took over that process myself, and I re-dyed and re-bleached my roots every month for 2 years. Again, I absolutely loved my blonde era. For me, I felt like I could maintain it as someone who liked having the fresh bleach look. So it was something that I was excited to do, and it never really added too much time into my entire wash day and retwist process. After about 2.5, 3 years, I decided to go ginger, but I had a bit of a hiccup. I wanted to go ginger, so I dyed it myself, but it ended up turning out to be really red, which I still loved, but I was originally going for more of an orange color. This is where I personally made a mistake, and after I share my coloring journey, I'm going to tell you guys all the needs to know when it comes to bleaching and coloring your hair. But I had red hair for a few months, and then I re-dyed my hair and finally got the ginger color that I was looking for. This lasted a few months until the summertime, simply because it was really hard to maintain, and that was my first mistake and need to know. If you're planning to color your hair, make sure it's permanent hair dye, because you don't realize that every time you wash your hair, the color is going to wash out with it. Every time I would wash my hair, a lot of hair dye would wash out, simply because I was using semi-permanent versus permanent hair dye. I of course wanted more of a permanent look, but I didn't do my research and pick the perfect brand to give me the result that I was looking for. I used the Adore hair dye, which is a great hair dye if you're looking for something temporary. If you're looking for something for an event where in a few washes most of the color is going to be washed out. After my red and ginger phase, which I think all in all, the phase lasted about 5 to 6 months. Right before that summer, I wanted to go back to black, so I dyed my hair black. But my second mistake was to also use Adore hair dye for that, which, if you guessed it, the hair dye continued to wash out every time I'd wash my hair, and my hair actually went from a black to like a dark green. It did not fade well with my hair at all. 2 months later, I chose a different brand. I'm forgetting the name, but I'm of course gonna have it on the screen. And that was the best decision I made, and that's kind of the color that I've had ever since. Getting into some need to knows when it comes to bleaching or coloring your hair. The first thing is that it really depends on your hair texture. For me, again, I have very kinky 4C hair, so strong products work well on my hair, and that's because it can honestly just handle it well. I've always had healthy hair. I've never had a perm, so just the trajectory leading up to me starting my locks and then waiting for them to mature and then starting to bleach and color my hair, it worked really well for me because my hair could handle it. Whether you will have issues with dryness, thinning, or breakage also depends on your lock size. For me, I have very thick locks. I only have 68, so for me, I never experienced any thinning or breakage after I bleached or colored my hair. But a lot of that also plays into the products that I use in my hair. So I talked a little bit about the shampoo and retwist gel that I use, but I hadn't yet mentioned the moisturizing products that I use on my locks. The only other 2 products that I use in my locks are shea butter and hair oil. I'll of course have these on screen, but I use shea butter and hair oil after every single wash, and also sometimes a couple times throughout the week, but I don't keep up with that as much as you think I may. Now, the type of hair oil that's going to work well with your locks and on your hair depends on your hair porosity. Now, that is whether your hair will soak up and hold in product, or the product is just going to sit on your hair. For me, my hair soaks up any product, so having thicker oils works the best. Now, if you have a different level of porosity, then a lighter oil is going to work best on your hair. And these are things, of course, that you just have to maintain and research in. It may be a little bit of a trial and error, but if you haven't started your locks yet, do the trial and error now, so that when you start your locks, you have the products that work well for you and you're able to maintain it moving forward. After I went back to black, which is my natural hair color, I started to experiment a little bit more with different hairstyles. I posted a tutorial of how I did my first flexi rod set. Definitely go check out that video. I had a really fun time doing that hairstyle, and I still love it to this day. I haven't done it as often as I did when I first discovered and I first tried it. Having smaller locks is going to give you one look, and having thicker locks is going to give you another look. So for me, I've noticed that I really just like to leave my hair alone, but keep up with my retwists, of course. And I like softer hairstyles where I don't put as much tension and pull on my roots and on my locks. Even within the past 1.5 to 2 years of my lock journey, I've just experimented more with hairstyles and just played around with my hair. I've never went to anyone to get any hairstyles done. I kind of like to just try out new ones and see which works for me. But even with that, I've also taken some time to celebrate my lock journey and different milestones that I hit. For my 5-year milestone, I did a self-portrait photo shoot. I had so much fun putting that photo shoot together, and it was literally some inspiration that I found on Pinterest. I was like, this is really cool having the clips in my hair. So even as you hit small milestones, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10, always celebrate them, because you don't realize that you have made a commitment to yourself to be patient with your hair, to be patient with yourself, and to see yourself in so many different phases of hairstyles and just maintenance periods as well. And that really just leads into some lessons and reflections on my journey. I've had such a wonderful, great time with my locks and on this journey. Again, I started, 1, because of a spiritual awakening and ego death, but 2, because I really wanted to commit to myself and show up for myself in a different way that I never had before. Starting locks really is a commitment, because it's not the easiest thing to just start over. I know some people who are on their 3rd, 4th, 5th lock journey, and that's great, because they're always finding a way back to having locks. My mom has been a huge inspiration to me, because she has had locks for 30 years now. So seeing her go through different phases, trying new styles, cutting her locks, growing them again, has really just been a huge inspiration for me personally. I've learned to be patient with myself, and I've learned to allow myself to look different ways. Again, I really love a fresh retwist, and because my locks are so thick, I can afford to retwist my hair every 2 to 3 weeks and not experience any breakage or any thinning. Some people are huge advocates of not retwisting that often, retwisting once a month, once every 3 months, twice a year. Personally, that doesn't work for me. So the biggest thing that I've learned is to track my own maintenance and to track what I have found works for me. It is so easy now to get caught up on Pinterest and on TikTok, seeing other people and their lock journey and comparing your own locks to theirs, but your journey is yours, so continue to water it and continue to see it grow. I've also realized that spiritually my locks hold a lot of energy and memories, but to me that has honestly made me feel lighter. I know for a lot of people who start locks, they have a spiritual connection to their journey and they really hold that really personal to them. And that is something that I agree with. I have always felt that my lock journey is quite personal for me, and I think that's why I don't share my lock updates and share a lot of hair video that often, simply because I know that my hair holds energy, but I love to share updates. I don't plan on turning this channel into a lock page. I know you all really enjoy this content from me, but it simply doesn't fulfill me in the ways that my other videos and content pillars do. I can still look back on old pictures of different lengths, different hair colors, different hairstyles, and still feel a connection to that time period and who I was, simply because I still experienced it. It's still a past version of myself, a different time period, a different environment that I was in, but it's still me at the end of the day, and I embrace all of my experiences and everything that I have ever gone through. I mentioned this briefly in the beginning of this video, but starting my locks really symbolized a commitment to myself, but also it symbolized my resilience that year of 2019. I experienced a lot, and I truly felt that I had came home to myself in a way. So starting the locks almost symbolized that time period for me in a very positive way. I don't ever feel like my locks hold in old energy or bad energy or negative energy. I honestly think of it as a almost tool for me to alchemize any energy that I experience or any energy around me that comes to me. So I'm excited to continue my lock journey. I don't plan on cutting my locks ever. I may trim them if I want to keep it at the same length, but cutting them completely off, I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. And I also don't plan on re-dyeing my hair. The last time I re-dyed my hair black, I used 9 bottles of dye. Ran me about $45–50, and I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. It also took about 3 hours. So I don't plan on doing that anytime soon. I think I'm gonna stay with the black and just rock out with that. But I hope you all enjoy this video, just sharing my lock update, some need to knows, and some reflections on my journey. It's been a great journey, and I can't wait to see everything that I keep doing with my locks, trying new styles. I literally just finally did 2-strand twists on my locks for the first time in 6 years. 5.5. It was right before my 6 years. But it was the first time me doing 2-strand twists like a month ago, and I absolutely love them. But I hope you all enjoyed this 6-year lock update, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.